Good afternoon, all. CamelbackTrading.org coming to you this Wednesday afternoon, December 16th. We're looking at the SPY ETF's market profile here on Window Trader. And Fed Day, top of a balance, all-time high. I mean, the bulls accomplished something pretty good today. New all-time high in Russell and IWM, new all-time high in the triple Qs and the NASDAQ composite. We got our all-time high in SPY and ES, but we did not get the overnight all-time highs. We stretched an 11-day balance to make it a 12-day balance. We stretched it by 11 cents, only to come back into it. But again, it's not like I'm going to say it's a look above and fail and all's lost. Now, if we had gotten the overnight high and came right back in pretty hard, then I would have said, okay, maybe they're tied and we see what we want to do. But we didn't get that just yet, so we're going to have to see. Inside day up, it prevailed. Nothing spectacular throughout the day, though. It's not like, you could have heard it hit a grand slam. The market did basically exactly what I thought it would do in M, as it took out both sides of L's range, because a couple of reasons. Number one, it was a very small range in L. Number two, we had a wide POC, didn't get back down to it, but no surprise. I had a nice long that I got out of an L. I was looking to take a short if we had taken out the all-time high and the overnight all-time high and came back into L to go back. Since we didn't get the overnight all-time high, I didn't do it. Missed a pretty decent trade. Had a good day overall. Nothing tremendous. Incredibly for me, I did 5 trades on the day, 4 of them from the long side. Very unusual for me, that's for sure. Before we get to the SPY's trades, let's go to the Russell. So the Russell made an all-time high on the opening, on a gap. And basically he had an opening drive down. Never saw the opening again. The good thing is they did have a set of single prints to the downside that got filled in K, and they held their trend day from yesterday. Now they had 4 sets of single prints yesterday. They filled 2 of them. They filled J's, they filled I's, and they got into G's, but they held G's and they held F's. So for now, they still have the trend day from yesterday. They're one time framing up 3 days. So still pretty healthy. Look, at some point this market's got to take a rest, right? So still healthy in the Russell. Triple Qs finally got their all-time high today, and actually probably missed a pretty good trade because the composite hit an all-time high and the Qs were still about 70 cents off their all-time high. And I told the room, I'm like, there's no way that's going to hold. There's no way the composite's going to hit an all-time high and the triple Qs are not. Well, lo and behold, they got it. So I didn't take a trade because I don't really trade it, but that would have been a decent trade. They go out with a price probe, like we do, and a trend day. They actually have single prints in K. So they had a beautiful afternoon pullback low after the Fed announcement. So that's a nice afternoon pullback low and go out with a trend day. And then for us, we go out with a price probe. I was going to use E as a price spike, but I did not like the way M came down. Took out L's low and closed below it. So I'm not. I will use L's high. As far as my trades, I took a long in A period. Now, yes, it was basically an open and drive down 2 for us. But again, when it's early in A, I'm not looking at it that to be that big a factor right off the bat unless they really get going. We also had the trend day below that we were looking at. I took a long right above the overnight high. We front ran the overnight low. We front ran the overnight low by about 7 cents, and we front ran the overnight high by about 6 cents in K period. Amazing how mechanical these short-term algos are. So that long worked out in A period. Then in B period, took out A's high, actually got long. Said as long as we hold the opening, we got back below the opening. I took the trade off. C period, we had single prints to start, didn't think they were going to hold, which they didn't. I did not take the short, actually took a long in C, which I made money on. Again, these are all for today's expiration 368 calls. So lost small in B, made a nice one in A, and a nice one in C. Then E period, this trade frustrated me, and it's nobody's fault but my own. Took a short in E because I said we're not getting any distance. So until they prove they can go trend to the upside, I will fade a new high. Well, I took a short in E. Didn't get anything out of it. Held it in F. Came down. Took out E's low, came right back up. It just kept sitting there. The same game that it usually plays. I'm like, the reason I wasn't thrilled about holding it, we had overlapping higher value. I'm like, we already took out the initial balance high. Are we going to finally have a possible reversal bar go up and go for the overnight high? I finally put it to bed. I didn't lose on it. Made small on it. And then all of a sudden, F and G finally did what I was looking for. So again, nobody's fault but my own. Now, we weren't one-time framing down, technically, in F, because all we were is balance, right? D took out C's low, E took out D's high, F took out E's low. It was still just balance. So, but it certainly got to the destinations I was telling the room about. Beautifully did. And then, my last trade of the day. Now, look, I have no problem not trading at 2 or 2:30. I'm not looking to be a hero. The algos get all excited on the Fed day. I said on a normal day, so J basically traded the day's range. K came down. I said on a normal day, I would look to take a long in K now, since values overlapping to higher, since the POC is 7 wide. I'm like, I would take that long out below J's low. But it wasn't a normal day. So I'm like, I'm not taking that trade. If I miss it, I miss it. Obviously, it would have been a good trade because not only did we go back up to POC, took out the day's high and went higher. So be it. I did take a long in L when we had singles. I'm like, I don't care if the singles fill, which they did. I didn't want to get acceptance back into J's range at that time. We didn't. It went up. Took some off, came in, I added, and then finally I had small left when M popped the top, took the rest off because I was like, the way they're having trouble getting to all these destinations, I wouldn't be surprised if they get the high, don't get the overnight all-time high, and come in first to go get it. And that's exactly what they did, and we never even got it. If we had gotten it, I would have probably taken a short against that once we came into L. So it turned out to be a good day. So, destinations for tomorrow. Upside, there's only two. 371.16, which is today's high and all-time high, and 371.41, which is the overnight all-time high from December 8th. Downside, L's high was the price pro, so even though we closed pretty well below it, until we see what happens tomorrow, I'm using L's high 370.96. We open below it tomorrow, it's off the page. Then we had 10 wide at 369.89. A's high got raised, the highest it can go. Then we have today's low of 368.87, and then those single prints from yesterday, 368.59 get filled at 54, and 368.36 get filled at 367.77. So again, destinations are far and wide apart. So if this is just a look above a previous all-time high and balance high, well, then it's not going to be hard to flush this market. The market is long. The long term is long, the intermediate time frame is long, and the daily is long because we're one time framing up 3 days and we close right at the top of a 12-day balance. So plain and simple, the market is incredibly long. They're not being threatened yet. One day doesn't make a market. So where will they get scared? Well, let's go to the charts and we'll talk about where buyers can start getting nervous. Well, here's the monthly. We're one time framing up 2 months. We close at 370.17. The first step that the buyers would not want to see is acceptance into 364.38. So that's $6 away. Now, that's not far away. We can get there in one time frame if the market gets going. But that's so these are very visual areas that you need to keep aware of, whether you trade the ES or the SPY. And that's last month's high. So on the SPY, it's 364.38. Any acceptance into there, not trading into there, but acceptance, meaning closing there, meaning stop. And now we'll go to the weekly, which is more important right now. So acceptance would be stopping the one-time framing up. So by the end of the week, if we take out 363.26, that's last week's low. Well, if you do that, a lot of things happen. You stop the one-time framing up in the weekly, which is 6+ weeks, and if you close below last week's low, you'd be into the previous all-time high. These are things that would start making longs nervous. And then on the daily, And by the way, one other thing on the weekly. We're one time framing up 6+ weeks. This is week 7. But the distance is not there right now. The volume is not there right now. For this to get sustained upside action, we need distance away from here. Now, I'd rather see it happen on good volume, but even if it's on light volume, at least for a short-term pop, you need it. Otherwise, this market's not going to sustain this at some point. And then on the daily, I'm calling it a 12-day balance. Yes, we're one-time framing up 3 days, but we barely took out the all-time high and closed below the all-time high from the 9th. So for me, it's a 12-day balance. So a buyer is nervous yet? Of course not. However, you can't turn around a battleship or a tanker ship, right away. It's baby steps. Maybe a battleship you could turn around right away, but not an oil tanker. First thing that would make buyers nervous. Well, let's stop the one-time framing up. So if we take out today's low, well, there's, say, strike 1. Now we start getting acceptance into this 12-day balance and maybe even have a trend day down. That'd be something else to make you nervous. And then if you take out the bottom of the 12-day balance, a lot would happen there. You're back inside the previous month's all-time high. The one-time framing up in a weekly would end. And now everybody who's long up here, if we close below that, would be underwater. And then you can see the next step, right? It's baby steps to get into this huge balance. And any acceptance into there, then the 350 range comes into focus. On the flip side, if we take out today's all-time high and go trend tomorrow or Friday and close above all this, well, maybe it's another leg up. Remember, markets don't go bull-bear. They go bull, balance, continue bull, or bull, balance, and then go bear. Right now, we're bull on the monthly and the weekly. We're balanced in the daily. Hope you had a great day trading. Have a great evening, and we'll speak prior to the opening tomorrow.